Good afternoon. My name is Flora House, and I serve as the AARP California Executive Council member. And welcome to everyone who is joining us live, and happy National Caregivers Month. Today we are here with a very special guest, Jennifer Radix Johnson, Executive Director of the Elise Ann Rush Burn Foundation. The Elise Ann Rush Burn Foundation, or AARBF, is a California-based nonprofit organization dedicated to preventing burns and fires and providing services to those who've been affected by a burn injury. Today, we're going to learn more about their work and some actions that we can take to help prevent burn injuries, and particularly actions that caregivers can take to help protect those they are caring for. We encourage you to share this stream now on your own Facebook page so that interested friends and families may also participate in today's conversation. Also, please feel free to ask questions that you may have in our comments box. Jennifer, thank you for joining AARP California today.
Thank you, Flora.
As you may know, AARP California is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that works on behalf of 38 million members nationally and 3.3 million members statewide to enhance the quality of life for all people as we age, which includes providing important information to help support and protect our health that you'll be providing. To that end, we are thrilled to have you with us today to talk about the Burn Foundation and ways that we can prevent burns from happening at home or while caregiving. Jennifer, can you tell me a little bit about the Foundation's work, as well as your efforts to provide caregivers and older adults information and resources to help prevent burn accidents?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Flora, for having me, and thank you, AARP, and everyone who's watching today. Before I came to the Elise Ann Rush Burn Foundation, I actually worked for Adult Day Healthcare, and I worked with a lot of caregivers who were trying to find respite and a safe place for their loved ones. So National Caregivers Month, my hat's off to all the caregivers watching and all the caregivers throughout AARP, because it is a tough job. So thank you for having me during this really important month. So the Elise Ann Rush Burn Foundation was founded back in 1971. It was we're named after Elise Ann Rush. She was an 8-year-old girl who died in a barbecue backyard fire. Her family, along with Southern California firefighters, started this organization in order to prevent any other child, or any other person for that matter, from going through the same tragic event. Our roots are in fire and burn prevention education. We coined the terms, the life-saving term, stop, drop, and roll, back in the 1970s, and continue to teach tens of thousands of Californians about fire and burn safety each and every year. So really, this means a lot to us to be able to talk to members of AARP about fire and burn safety. Our mission is to significantly reduce the number of burn injuries through prevention education, and similarly to AARP about enhancing the quality of life for older adults, ours is to enhance the quality of life of those affected by burn injuries in California. So we are a statewide organization with a focus on Californians. And like I mentioned, we are best known for our prevention message about stop, drop, and roll. One of the early adopters and really promoted that life-saving message. We have Firefighters and Safety Education Program, a program that teaches tens of thousands of children each and every year about fire safety. We work with those affected by burn injuries from the moment that they're admitted into a burn unit to decades post-injury. And our newest program in prevention is our Senior Prevention and Risk Conversations, our SPARK program, which I think is most relevant to our AARP members, as it really focuses on fire and burn safety messages for older adults.
And I have to tell you, as a former manager of a very large city emergency department, we value what you do so very much, and glad to be able to connect with you today. It really has wonderful work, and the stop, drop, and roll, I think everyone from the age of 4 till the age of 94 probably knows that phrase, so good work. What are some of the typical burn scenarios that you see, Jennifer?
Yeah, so what we're seeing with the older adult population is that 74% of burn injuries occur in the home, and specifically in the kitchen and the bathroom. So it's a little challenging right now when we're doing shelter in place, where there's a lot more people at home, or homebound older adults. Um, as we see, that's where predominantly the largest number of burn injuries occur are in the home. And the thing that's scary about that, and concerning about that with older adults, is that there are several factors that make older adults more vulnerable to burn injuries. There's decreased skin resiliency and integrity. Their skin is thinner, which offers less protection and is harder to heal. There's decreased sensation as you age, so sense of touch, temperature naturally diminish. Sight and hearing can weaken, which is all very challenging when it comes to fire and burns. There's decreased reaction time, decreased mobility, and overall, it's decreased survivability of burn injuries. So it's particular burn injuries in general are tough to recover from, but with older adults with comorbidities or other conditions, health conditions that they might be dealing with and challenged with, makes it even more complicated when it comes to burn injuries. And the top ways that we're actually seeing the burn injuries with older adults are through flame burn injuries. So that's when anything related to fire. There's scald injuries that happens when we're in contact with hot liquids or steam. And then there's contact burn injuries, and that's when you're burned by touching a hot object. So those are really the top three causes of burns when we're talking about older adults.
It's a very impressive statistic you have there that 74% of burn injuries for older adults occur in the home, and specifically the kitchen and the bathroom. And considering that that is our target population as well, it's really it's quite significant to see a number like that. And that really is incredibly unfortunate. Do you have any safety and prevention tips to help us avoid these burn accidents, particularly for the older adults and for the caregivers taking care of the older adults?
Yeah, so like you mentioned in that statistic, about 74% of burn injuries happening in the home. The tips that we have are specific to the home. So whether you are an older adult yourself or you are a caregiver to an older adult, some of the tips that we have are simple fixes that can help prevent burn injuries. So one is your water heater settings. So the ideal temperature setting for our water heaters is 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're a caregiver and you have access to your water heater, or you're an older adult who has access to your water heater, go ahead and check that today. Make sure that the top temperature setting is 120 degrees, and that's going to prevent scald injuries through your tap water. Having working smoke alarms. I mean, this I know sounds like a no-brainer, but there's a lot of homes out there that unfortunately don't have smoke alarms. So you want to make sure that you install smoke alarms outside of each bedroom and at least one on each level of your home and right outside your kitchen and living spaces. So that's quite a few different smoke alarms. So if you just have one, you got to think twice about that. Make sure you've got enough throughout your home. The good thing is that in the past, we used to have these old smoke alarms with these batteries that you'd have to change, and you have to change your battery when you get that annoying beep, But nowadays, we've got 10-year batteries. So get yourself some brand new smoke alarms with 10-year batteries, and you're set for 10 years with that. And if you don't have a 10-year battery smoke alarm, make sure that you are changing it no later than every 10 years too, so that there's a lifespan when it comes to smoke alarms. And then for older adults, sometimes that the smoke alarms aren't very effective because you might be hard of hearing. And so even if you had that beep and there was a fire or smoke in the home, you might not be able to hear it. So if you or someone that you are caring for is hard of hearing, you may want to consider a strobe light smoke alarm, in which a bright light flashes when the alarm goes off, or a bed shaker that literally shakes you awake if there are if there is a smoke, if there's fire in the home and smoke is detected. And then you also want to test your smoke alarm regularly. So again, don't feel like just because you've got the smoke alarm in your home, check, I'm good. Make sure that you're actually making sure that they work regularly. And then the last tip that I would have is just know 2 exits out from every room. So usually that's a door and a window, but you really want to know, even in your home, are there 2 ways out of your home? Are there 2 ways out of any room in your home? Just in case one exit is blocked, you want to make sure you have an alternative way out. So those are some easy tips that caregivers and older adults can think about even today in terms of fire and burn safety.
Thank you, Jennifer. Those are very specific and very helpful. And again, for those of you who are joining us now in the middle of the live stream, my name is Flora House, and I serve as the AARP California Executive Council member. And today we are here with our special guest, Jennifer Radix Johnson, who is the Executive Director of the Elise Ann Rusch Burn Foundation. And she's helping to talk with us about burn prevention. If you have any questions for Jennifer, please do put them in the comment section. One more question for you now, Jennifer. You just gave us some great tips to avoid burns, and they're very valuable, and regardless of whether caregiver or older adult, I tend to put them into place. With the holidays coming up, especially with us being a little bit more restrictive and feeling a little bit more isolated, do you have any specific cooking related burn prevention tips?
Yeah, so I love the holidays. I really look forward to the holidays, but it's also one of the times where we see peaks in burn injuries, unfortunately. And that's because lots of people are in the kitchen cooking for the holidays, and lots of people maybe who aren't used to cooking year round are in the kitchen as well. So we definitely have some cooking safety tips, which include something as simple as stay in the kitchen while cooking. So I know that we're multitaskers. We like to, I'll set this pot on the stove and I've got to run out, or I'm going to grab something. But that's like the number one way that we can prevent fires is to really stay in the kitchen while cooking. If you leave the room, turn off the burner, always keep an eye on what you're cooking, whether you're boiling or frying or baking, just make sure that you are cognizant of what's going on in the kitchen. Another tip, wear short sleeves or snug sleeves while cooking. So something that, especially with older adults, cooking in robes or more flowy clothing, those can really catch fire, and that can lead to very serious burn injuries. So plan your holiday outfit accordingly and make sure that you've got snug sleeves or short sleeves. You want to keep anything flammable away from the burners, like oven mitts, recipes, cookbooks, food packages, even curtains and wooden spoons. I'm embarrassed to say, even as the executive director of a burn foundation, how many times I've burned the corner of my cookbook because it's been a little too close to the burner. I have to be very cognizant of that, even working with people who've been burn injured. So I can't stress that enough. Just make sure that you're keeping a safe distance away from your burners with any of these items. Something to think about too is coffee, tea, soups. If you're warming them up in the microwave, they get super hot. Like, where you think they're cool to the touch or they're warm enough. Caution, use a lot of caution when it comes to those liquids in the microwave. And make sure to use oven mitts or pot holders when carrying hot liquids and foods. Now, I know California doesn't get, well, depending on where you are in California, it doesn't get too cold like other states, but we are going into cooler weather as well. So outside of just cooking safety, I do want to mention a couple cool weather safety tips, which includes if you're using a space heater, make sure it's at least 3 feet away from furniture or curtains. Same concept with like the cookbook close to the burner. Keep your space heater away from any items that might catch fire or clog up the space heater. And then heating pads as well. If you use heating pads, you want to make sure that you use a medium or low setting, and never fall asleep with a heating pad, as that can cause burn injuries as well. So those are just some tips as we head into our cooler months and our holiday months.
You are a wealth of great information, but let me ask you this. Where can folks go to learn more about the burn prevention and resources that your organization offers?
Yeah, great question. I know I gave a lot of tips, a lot of information, but you can go to our website at aarbf.org/burn prevention. And all of our information is free. So you can download tip sheets, you can watch videos about fire and burn safety education, but all of this is at no cost. So you can definitely check out the website there. As I mentioned earlier, we have a new program, our Senior Prevention and Risk Conversations, our SPARK program, and you can download our free training manual. And the SPARK program has all of these tips in one manual in one place for you to download. And so that's free of charge on our website there. And the Elise Burn Foundation is a nonprofit organization. So by being able to share our fire and burn safety information at no charge, it actually helps us fulfill our mission of significantly reducing the number of burn injuries through prevention education. So the more people we can educate, the more people can take these tips and share it with their friends and their families and their loved ones, the more that we're doing our job of keeping California safe.
And to keep your word going forward, I want to reiterate what you just said, and that is to encourage our viewers to share the information you're providing and that the website provides. Because the more we can keep our loved ones safe and sane, the happier and healthier everyone will be. So thank you, Jennifer. We have time to take a few live questions. So we have one question from a viewer. And it's really very important because with all the prevention you're doing, sometimes we don't get to do it exactly as we should. And thank you for sharing that honesty about the book. What steps should be taken when burned before help arrives?
Great. So this is one of the burn prevention tips that we teach even our grade school children. In order to cool a burn, use cool water and cool water only. So we kind of joke about it. I hope we're past these generations, but some of the older generations put butter on it, put cream on it, put lotion on it. Come on, Flora, you're a nurse. Come on.
I don't do it now, but I remember learning that years and years ago.
So no, cool water. Cool a burn with cool water. So that's really what you want to do. You run that burn under cool water for 3 to 5 minutes. So that's the best thing that you can do to stop the burn until help arrives with proper care.
And by the way, to tack on to that, Jennifer, by the way, it's not necessary to use ice cubes. The cool water is actually much better for the relief of the pain and to stop the burn because it encompasses the skin area where it's been burned. So thank you for that.
Yep, thank you for that clarification. No ice. Ice can actually stick to the skin as well and cause a greater injury. So no ice, just cool water.
Right. We have a question from Sherry Dunlap. Oops, I think it went away. What are the most common ways folks get burned at home? And I think we've covered some of these, but there may be others you want to touch on.
Yeah, so again, the scald burns that we're seeing often happen in the bathroom and in the kitchen. So cooking accidents with scald steam burns and hot water burns and food-related burns. And then in the bathrooms, it is because water temperature settings might not be at the right temperature, we're seeing scald burns in the bathtub, especially those with diabetes or neuropathy where they cannot feel that their sense of sensation is reduced. We're seeing lots of burns that are on the feet or in the bathtub where someone might not actually recognize that water is too hot. So those are the burns that we're seeing more commonly at home.
And you've touched on this with talking about the old story about the butter. But I wonder if there are other things, in all seriousness, that a person should not do when they are burned and what not to apply besides the butter and the ice.
Yeah, so those are the two big ones, just because I think intuitively people think ice because you want to cool a burn, but really, again, I hope that if you take anything away from here, don't put ice on there. It can actually cause a greater injury to a burn. The butter, we don't want to do lotions. People always, oh, you put vitamin E or you can put this lotion. None of that is needed immediately when you are burn injured. It's just that cool water. You want to keep it clean. You also want to stop the burning from occurring. And then culturally, I know it sounds funny, but culturally, soy sauce or any of these other liquids or sauces that people are thinking will keep stop the burning. You really don't want to do that. And we see a comment here about aloe vera. Again, nothing immediately after the burn. I think the question was, what do you do before you are able to get the care that you need? We're talking about serious burns. Just cool water. You do not want to infect it or put anything on it immediately. It's just really to stop the burn with cool water.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jennifer. I've learned a lot today, and I actually was foolishly enough to think I knew most of it already, but not so much. I'm very appreciative of the work you do. For anyone who joined late, we've had the wonderful opportunity of speaking with Jennifer Radix Johnson. And if you've got any other comments, by the way, please do put them in the box. But Jennifer is the executive director of the Alicia, I hope I'm saying it right, Elisa Ann Rouge Burn Foundation. You can learn more about their foundation and their burn prevention resources for older adults and caregivers, and it is your month, caregivers, by visiting aarbf.org/burn prevention. Please share the information with a friend and family member. And again, reminding everyone that November is National Caregivers Month. If you are a caregiver or preparing to be a caregiver, please visit aarp.org caregiving for free resources, virtual events, and more. Jennifer, thank you for joining us today. It really has been a pleasure and an education talking with you and learning more about the foundation and how to prevent burn accidents. I am quite impressed by yourself and the organization. And to our viewers, we hope that you had a wonderful day, and thank you for joining us on Facebook Live Webinar Wednesday Conversation. Jennifer, any last words?
Yeah, thank you, Flora and AARP and all of the viewers today for the opportunity to speak about fire and burn safety for older adults. As Anne mentioned, the Elise Ann Rouge Burn Foundation is a California-based 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we cannot do the vital work that we do without the support from our community. So whether it is volunteering or making a donation, AARBF needs you. The Burn Foundation needs you. So volunteering may look a little different these days with COVID restrictions and such, but we do need volunteers to help with prevention presentations and outreach. Even you just sharing this presentation through your social media, you're helping us do our work of educating people about fire and burn safety. We need help supporting those affected by burn injuries. If you would like to if you'd like to learn more about how we support those affected by burn injuries, we do need volunteers. And then obviously donations are always a great way to help us continue the good work that we do. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram to get updates on our programs and get more fire and burn prevention tips. And then you can always visit our website at aarbf.org to learn more or to make a donation. So again, thank you, Flora, and everyone watching today in AARP. This is important work that we need to do together in order to keep older adults and Californians safe.
Thank you, Jennifer. And again, I encourage everyone to continue the education, keep it going, and absolutely consider AARBF when you're looking for something to volunteer to give back to family and friends in your neighborhood and community.